Another episode of Catholic Momcast. I'm your host, Maria Johnson, and with me today is Allison Gingras, star of the stars. I don't know. I
Really?
always say the stupidest things about you.
I I look forward to that moment. What will she say stupid this time? Just like, thank you, Maria. I love being the star of the stars.
The star of the stars. I've been reading this amazing book about Our Lady of Guadalupe called The Flower Prophecy, which is
Ooh,
pretty
I've
academic.
just
It's a
heard
real
about
academic
this.
book. It's Barb and I have been talking about it back and forth for a while, and it's a little academia heavy, but so profound. Um,
Hmm.
so I just saw the video that maps the flowers and the stars on her cloak with the date and time of her appearance,
That's
what
amazing.
the historical sky was like at that moment. It was really remarkable.
I think I need that book because she's my girl.
Our Lady of
I
Guadalupe. She's
I
so
do.
beautiful.
She is so beautiful, and there's just something about that apparition and the "Am I not here? That is your mother." I just like that affirmation that she's there as our mother. Do you know? I once met a woman, a very um, I would say a lifelong Catholic. I thought pretty astute in the faith, and she said something that I had never thought of before. She didn't realize that these names of Mary were all for the same person.
Oh,
She actually thought these were all different
like 2,000
people.
saints named Mary.
Yeah. And I thought I could see where that
You
confusion
can
could
see how
happen.
that would
Like I was
happen. Yeah.
definitely it made me pause. I was like, "Oh, I I wonder when I'm sure I've thought the same thing in my lifetime before I even knew like the faith very well." So we had a very good conversation about all the
How
different
beautiful.
apparitions and the names of Our Lady. But I wonder how many people also think that way.
Huh.
Just
Well,
thought it
I
was
mean,
interesting.
that's it. I think that there's more than like 2,000 titles for Mary,
Wow.
and one of them is Star of the Sea, which
I
I
did
loved.
think of that when you said Star of the Stars. I was like, oh,
Stella Maris.
like I'm so close to Mary. Not.
Oh, well, how can we be friends for so long and I don't know this little detail about this discovery? And that's what
I
we're
don't.
going to talk about today is friendship. How long have we known each other? 100 years.
Yes, and actually, how we met is a great story to kick off a show about an episode about friends. So, I think it was somewhere around 2000 and I want to say 8-ish, maybe even earlier. I'm really 2008. I'm gonna say. I don't remember if I had my daughter yet. Our whole life is before and after Faithy was adopted. Like our
BF.
whole yeah, yes, BF right before or after Faithy. Anyway, it was the early 2000s, and I was just getting into Catholic ministry, and my I should actually know this date because I was going for the baptism of my goddaughter. So I should know how old she is. I think she's 11. She'll be 11 next week. And I wanted to do some networking while I was there so that the plane ticket that I really couldn't afford could be at least partially a tax deduction. This is how I was thinking. But I didn't want to but I really wanted to meet people. And so I put out on social media, crowdsourced, does anybody want to meet up with me in Atlanta? I would love to get to know other people. And Maria responded very kindly, I'll meet with you. And we found this great place, and she brought a friend with her, and I brought my husband, and I still have the picture of the first time we met. So we
That I touched your face.
yeah, that was, and I still liked you. I
Oh,
don't
that's
think
so
I was
great.
as freaked by that back then as I am
That's so
nowadays.
funny. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that we must have been like playing around on we had what do they call it today? Mutuals on social media.
Mm,
Yeah, that was a fun. That I remember that it was at the Brick House in Decatur. You were on your
yes.
way to the Life Teen Camp, right?
I
To
was
see.
Cove Crest. That's where they
Yep,
were
that's right.
missionaries for Cove Crest, and when Therese was born, they went on to have 4 boys, and I'm so thrilled that I got the one girl as my.
Sweetness. Oh, that would have been before. That would have been before Faith, wouldn't it? You were so
I,
delighted with a little girl.
No, I think it was after, because Faith.
Yeah.
I've had Faithy for 16 years. Believe it or not, she just turned 20 last week,
Oh my
which is
goodness.
insane, right? Like how did the
How
children
does
all of a
time
sudden
fly?
become? I know,
Yeah.
like your grandchildren must be way older than I picture them in my head.
Yeah, they're in elementary school.
Yeah, that's not how I picture them at
Little
all.
babies, little babies. Oh my gosh. Well, it's really interesting that, I mean, those were friendships, and those were in the days of social media when we called anybody that was an associate a friend.
Mm,
You had to friend somebody. And, but, I think that playing loose with the vocabulary is not good for the relationships. What does it mean to be a friend? We
mm,
have two lovely articles today from our Catholic Mom contributors: "The Importance of True and Holy Friendship" by Danielle Henkenkamp, and on Christian friendship, which really introduces us to friendship with Christ, and that's by Liesl Chauvin. And I think they're both great. They're both great articles because they talk about how we become friends with people.
mm,
You know, and I think the ultimate goal is for us to have spiritual friendships. Well, okay, the ultimate goal is for us to befriend Jesus, right? But to have these spiritual friends, to have people who are aligned with the faith, that walk the journey beside us.
mm-hmm.
They're not showing us how to do things, although we learn from each other, but that we want to have this intimate encounter with somebody else that we can share with.
I
And,
and I
and,
and
and
I
now
like
it's late
being.
to the game with that. Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, no, and I like being held accountable too to the faith. I love that when I have a text, group, and they're named quote unquote praying friends, and I know that these women who are my, ride or dies for the faith, and in life, I know that they're going to be very truthful with me, and that's what I love about them. They're not going to just say what I want to hear, but they care about my soul. Like they care that I follow Christ and I follow his commandments and that I'm true to him, and they will call me out. And they're so loving about it, and honest, that it's not like I get angry with them, but they just help me see the truth of what I'm saying, or maybe decisions I'm making. And that's what I love so much about them, because of their faith, their core of their faith. I know when they speak to me, it's from a place of love and concern.
I think that's so important. That's so important for us to have, and it's so easy not to, because when you think about the evolution of what friendship, might look like in a lifetime, you're friends with when you're a little kid, you're friends because of circumstance, right? Your
Mm,
parents either put you into a play group, or your friends are the people who are your classmates in school, probably for a very, very long time, to get you through school. And then you wonder why those friendships dissipate, and you're not perhaps meant to be friends forever with someone. I think that there's truth to that adage that, some friends are for a season.
I was just thinking
Um,
that.
yeah. And I've had a lot of friendships that I value and that I still love very much, but they were obviously for a season, and
Yeah.
that season has passed. But I do love these articles because they really gave me some pause. And in Danielle's article on the importance of true and holy friendships, she ends the article by kind of distilling what makes a good friend.
Yeah.
And she says that friendship begins in the heart. And gosh, I'm talking a lot today,
Talk
Allison.
away. Well, I'm sure the listeners are like, finally, Maria is getting a chance to talk. Does Allison have laryngitis? Because it's usually the other way around. But go on,
Uh,
girl. I love listening to you.
but friendship begins in the heart. And I recently, like maybe in the last 3 years or so, I reread The Four Loves by C.S.
Mm,
Lewis. And because it has a quote in that book that I love, and it's about that moment when the spark of friendship hits, and you look at each other, and you're sharing or you're talking about something, and suddenly you have that connection.
mm.
And I think his quote goes something along the lines of, "What, you too? I thought I was the only one." And that has defined all of the friendships that I've had in my life, whether they were just circumstances, or just, a little bit more than acquaintance, but not quite that deep friendship yet. But it begins in the heart when you just have this attraction to someone else's soul. I think the Irish, didn't we do the book club with, help me out here,
Julianne
with
Stance.
Julianne Stans,
Loved it.
the Anam Cara, when
Hmm.
you have that connection with somebody.
Yes.
But Danielle goes on to say that true friendship must be selfless and unwavering to truth. And I think that speaks to what you were talking about, where, your friends keep you honest.
Yeah.
And then good friends place others before themselves in true devotion, dedication, and compromise. That doesn't mean that you should be a doormat, but, there's a selflessness in the hospitality that we extend to our friends, I think.
And this is where I fall short and why I'm surprised I still have friends. And I'm very, very honest about it. No, I'm very serious. I am very, very selfish with my time, because I work full time, because I also have a writing career and ministry on the side, and I have a family that I obviously want to spend time with. I adore my friends, but they do fall to the very bottom of my priority list. And this is the other thing I love about those friends, like my praying friends, that we have been friends for over 25 years now, most of us, and that they just accept me for that way. Like I will check in on, like, I love social media and I love having texts because I will check on them and like daily, and or be part of that conversation, but to make time to pull myself out of the house, to pull myself away from the stuff that I do for work. I definitely am a workaholic. Is hard, and I'm very honest with them. Like, I stink as a friend, so let's connect that to Jesus. I stink as a friend because I will, like, I've not been to adoration in months because I used to have an adoration hour once or twice a week. But now that I work and have to be in the office 4 days a week, I get to go to mass more, which is incredible. Like, I work at a place where I can go to mass. That's just insanely amazing. But I've kind of fallen away from that quiet time with God, that
Mm,
quiet time of sitting with Him in adoration. Because I'm typically late. I even have kind of shortened my morning prayer time, if not skipped it altogether. So I am really like, when I sit down with Jesus, that's kind of the first thing I say to him too. I'm so sorry. I stink at being your friend. But I love that he's like, that's okay. You're here now. And that's kind of what my friends do too. My true godly friends will say the same thing. It's okay. You're here now. So are you good with the
I,
sacrificial love
I
thing?
think that I think I can be. I think I can be. I think it changes in our different seasons of life, and when you're a mother of young children, it kind of becomes all encompassing.
Mm.
And so you're looking for these friendships that at least support the madness. And
Or
well,
you,
you've got play
yeah,
dates, and you've got to go here, and you've got to go there, and you're doing all these things, and a lot of times it's just easier to, at least for me, it was easier to do in friendship. It
yes.
was easier to do in a pack of like-minded moms who were kind of going through the same thing. And I treasured those. I treasured the friendships that were because of my children's friends.
Mm,
Because uh, making the play dates, or going to the after-school activities, or doing the, what is it, the room mother things. You find other women who are at least have the same goal.
right.
you know but what I'm talking about in the spiritual friendship is that it took me a long time to get to that. I never had it. I had the circumstantial situations, and I had, the classmates or the workmates, or even friendships. When my husband and I got married, we combined friends. We had
Yep.
mutual friends, but we had other friends that, some we hit off with, and some just kind of fell by the wayside because they were no longer a good fit for our life.
Right.
But I was, my goodness, I was approaching middle age, if not middle aged, when I really encountered women who were prayer warriors, who had the same beliefs. I was always the outlier, the one that went to church. I was. the
I love
outlier that was still practicing the faith into my 20s. I fell away later, but so it was really rough, a rough start for me to understand that. And boy, I value it so much today because those are the true friends of my soul.
yeah.
That they help me to seek Jesus, and they help me to continue to practice the faith. Sometimes, it kind of goes up and down. It's kind of odd, you work for a Catholic organization to hear that sometimes you're not feeling it.
Oh yeah.
And I think that that's more common than people can imagine.
Yeah. Because it's still work, right? Like it's still
Yeah, yeah.
tasks. It's still things that need to get done. And yeah, some of it obviously I have to pray and I have to think about God, but other things are just like any other job. You just can kind of get lost in the task. Um,
Mm,
I've also and I've admitted this to this group of friends, and this is again why I love them so much. And when I say groups, because there's four of them, and I like we're like a pack, and I love that, and I love that we also can go one can go with one, and you don't feel like you're being left out. I love that maturity of that friendship. But I spent most of my life trying to be with the wrong group of people for me. I'm not saying they were the wrong,
oh,
but I would try to find the most popular group. And instead of letting the Lord guide me to the friends He had for me and letting these relationships naturally form, I was always trying to force myself into their pack or into their life. And then found myself hurt, found myself like not connecting. I had another pack that I was part of, but I had zero in common with these women, zero, other than we all loved Jesus, but we loved Jesus differently. Like they were Catholic, but they were leaving the faith. And I loved discovering Jesus through the sacraments, through the rosary, through adoration. And they loved to discover Jesus in a different way. Neither one of us was wrong. We're still following Jesus, but I continued for quite a long time trying to be a part of their life. And it was just painful. And like friendship shouldn't be painful. Like there's a point where you have to let it go. But I saw them as the popular girls,
mm,
and I wanted to be part of the popular girls. And I did that in high school. I did that through college. I did that with PTO, and then and now my friends are popular people, but they don't care. Like I love that about them. Like they're not trying to be part of anything. They're just who they are, and they love Jesus. And I love that they just accept me for who I am. And there's the commonality, right? I could see the things that we have in common, and that's really the crux of like we're good friendships. And Debbie, you are so welcome. Thank you for being part of our conversation today. The person
that's
that
great.
is joining us on the live
I love it.
feed on
I love
Facebook.
it. So I see that it is in fact Wednesday, and you are in fact wearing pink. And so, did you get the reference to Mean Girls? No.
No,
You're
I've never
looking
seen
at me.
girls.
Oh my gosh. It is about that. It is about the popularity track and
Oh,
how detrimental it can be to you. Um, it's so different though when you encounter these friends that they, like C.S. Lewis says, "What, you too?" That we
mm,
share this in common. I think it's a beautiful aha moment. But have you ever grieved a friendship?
yes, quite a few.
Oh, same.
Yeah. What comes to what? How did you handle that?
I learned from it. There's one in particular. I should probably, as I sit here and process what I'm talking about, I should probably just seek her out and apologize. But I just totally ghosted someone in a very immature period in my life where I was consumed with my own wounds.
Yep.
And you know,
Oh, we lost Maria. So while Maria comes back, I'm going to share a story about a friendship that I actually personally grieved, not just grieved the friendship, but that this person passed away. And one of the things about that friendship that was so painful for me was that I hurt her in our friendship. I kind of betrayed our friendship after she had passed away. And then I had to, really bring to prayer. So the beautiful thing is that I think we're connected with our friends forever. And one of the articles um, mentions this connection. We're forever connected. I'm just telling a story about how I literally grieved a friend who had passed away, but then I betrayed our friendship after she had passed, and how I kind of had to deal with that pain. And so the funny story is that my good friend Lori passed away, and shortly after she passed, I was in adoration. Now, Lori and I had this thing about people who whisper pray out loud in this tiny little chapel, and we would text
Was
each
it
other, which
annoying?
is terrible. I'm admitting, like I pull out my phone in adoration, and we would text each other and be like, "Oh my gosh, this person's here praying." So shortly after she passed, I'm in adoration, and person comes in, and I like instinctually reach for my phone and realize she's gone. So I was like, "Hey, wait a minute, Lori, you can probably do something about this now," because I knew she'd been anointed. I knew that she had, um, received her last rites, and I'm like, I just trust in all of that with the Lord. Continue to pray for her always. But anyway, so I said, Lori, you could do something about this. Can you make her stop? Honest to goodness, Maria, seconds later, the woman stopped. And I was like, well, thank you, my dear friend.
That's
Fast
dirty.
forward a few months, and somebody said something about the friend, and I thought they knew this very personal thing about her. And I splurted it out and realized by the look on the other person's face that this was not common knowledge. And I had just betrayed her confidence and
Oh.
my heart. Like, because normally, I mean, our friendship began with us fighting and me going and apologizing, her accepting my apology, and we became best friends. It was like this crazy story. So here I am. I've just betrayed her, and I have no way
Mm.
of apologizing. So I'm back in adoration a few weeks later, a couple days after that, and I'm really pouring my heart out to God, and I'm pouring my heart out to her. And I'm like, I know that I messed up. I'm going to go to confession. And I was like, Lori, I'm just so sorry. I did not mean to harm your reputation. I didn't mean to do that to you. And would you know, seconds later, the person behind me starts whisper praying out loud. I burst into tears. Like, this is something so Lori, like, oh, I forgive you, but first I'm going to make you
You're
suffer.
gonna suffer.
Laughed so hard. It was like, yes,
Oh,
we're not, death does not
oh.
completely separate us, right? Like, I could turn to her and pray to her and ask it. And I just think that was the best. Like, but first, I'm going to annoy you. And I deserved it. Totally
Oh
100%
my
deserved
goodness.
it.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. But I mean, let's be honest. We learn how to be friends by being friends, by being in relationship. And yeah, if you have somebody that you're very close to, it is inevitable that you're going to step in it every once in a while. It's just, it's
Yes.
unavoidable. We're human and dumb and, and capable of uh, infinite amounts of, insecurity and selfishness. But anyway,
And the most powerful lesson that Jesus teaches us is mercy.
that's right.
And so giving mercy, seeking mercy, like I said, that friendship with Lori began with me making her cry and then
Mm.
going back with my tail between my legs and saying, I'm sorry. And having her cry again because it was a vacation Bible school incident. And she said, you are not the first parent to make me cry,
Oh
because she was
wow.
a volunteer, and we can be nasty people. We just don't mean
Hmm.
to, but even church ladies can be ridiculous when we want to be. And she said, but you are the very first one in the 10 years that she had been doing this to ever
Wow.
come back and apologize. And it was that power of her showing me mercy, me humbling myself, that opened up our hearts. And for 10 years, I was blessed with this woman in my life who brought endless people to our Bible study. I ended up inviting her to the Bible study, who made me laugh, who kept me, just on the right path towards heaven. And yeah, I miss her dearly, but you're right. You're going to step in it, whether they're with you or there's after their death. But I love that the Lord, makes a way in both places for us to seek mercy and to open our hearts and humble ourselves. And I think that is what makes the best friendships. you know.
Yeah. Well, let's be thankful for the friends that we have, and for and for the lessons that we learned from the friends that we don't have close anymore. Because that helps us to be a better friend as we move through these relationships. All right, girl. Well, gee, that was a lot of sharing today. I
That was
have
nice.
my tired teacher voices out. Um, Thanks for joining us today, and I hope that you can look at your own friends and see the blessings that you have in your life. So join us next week. Thanks for being here this week and enjoying this live. I think we've got some nice people that have
Yeah.
joined us on Facebook, and we'll be back next week with another episode of Catholic Momcast. God bless.